Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into a book that really, truly shook things up for millions when it comes to money. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's not just finance tips, is it? It's this very personal
Yeah,
story about these two completely different father figures in his life and how they shaped, everything he learned about wealth.
absolutely. And our goal here really is to unpack how this book just frontally challenges so much conventional wisdom about money.
Mhm.
Why does that core message, that mindset shift about finances still hit home for so many people? We want to help you really grab onto those key insights fast.
Yeah, okay, so let's start with the two dads themselves because their mindsets, they're just so different and it's the foundation for everything else. You have his poor dad,
Mm.
right? His actual father, highly educated, worked incredibly hard, but always seemed to be struggling financially. He really believed in, job security, pensions, the whole academic road. That was the path. Go to school, get good grades, find that safe job.
And then you flip it, the rich dad, his best friend's father, didn't even finish high school, but just incredibly street smart, an entrepreneur. His focus wasn't the paycheck. It was all about practical financial education, building assets, and this huge idea, making money work for you, not the other way around. That's the core lesson Kiyosaki pulls out. The rich don't work for money. Money works for them. And that's where it gets really interesting, I think.
It really is a fundamental switch, isn't it? Because, yeah, most of us learned at school how to be a good employee, follow the rules, get the job. But Kiyosaki points out it just completely skips teaching you how to, well, manage or grow the money once you actually earn it. It sets you up for a job, maybe, but not financial freedom.
Right. And it's tough for people to grasp because we're sort of wired, often from childhood, to think, effort equals income, direct trade. That's exactly why Kiyosaki hammers on financial literacy being so crucial. Not crazy economic theory, but basics. Understanding assets versus liabilities,
Yeah.
taxes, investing fundamentals. It really makes you ask, okay, what are we actually learning about money early on? And more importantly, what are we missing?
Oh, definitely. When I first encountered his definitions of assets and liabilities, it really stopped me in my tracks. He puts it so simply. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. Simple as that. And that example he uses is so powerful. His poor dad buys a house, calls it an asset. We all do, right? But rich dad says, hang on, unless it's generating cash flow, putting money in your pocket, it's actually a liability. It costs you money, mortgage, taxes, upkeep.
hmm That redefinition is a huge mental shift. I think the biggest misconception before reading it is that anything expensive or valuable must be an asset. But Kiyosaki forces you to look at the cash flow. So real assets, things that generate income or grow in value. Income-producing real estate, stocks, bonds, maybe businesses you own, intellectual property. Now, okay, some experts might say he oversimplifies, but his point is to change your gut feeling about what actually builds wealth versus what just, well, costs you money. It's about acquiring things that make you money.
Exactly. And understanding that is the key to escaping what he calls the rat race. That cycle his poor dad was stuck in. You know, the one. Work hard, earn money, spend it all, maybe go into debt to keep up appearances. It's exhausting, and so many people feel trapped there.
Yeah, it's a treadmill. Rich Dad, on the other hand, broke that cycle. He used his income strategically, not to buy more stuff that drained cash, but to buy assets, things that then produced passive income. Money coming in without him having to actively work for every single dollar, every single day.
Which brings us back to that core mantra he pushes. Don't work for money. Let money work for you.
It's about designing things so your money is working harder than you are, essentially.
And it also challenges this idea that just getting a higher salary is the ultimate goal. Kiyosaki has this kind of unconventional advice. Sometimes he says, don't just chase the paycheck. Look for jobs where you can learn crucial skills like sales, marketing, accounting, investing, skills that empower you beyond just one job.
Yeah, he talks about taking jobs specifically for the learning experience, not the immediate pay. He wanted to get better at sales, so he took a sales job, even if it wasn't the highest offer. It really highlights learning by doing, gaining that practical know-how that builds over time rather than just relying on a degree or title, building your own capability.
And he gets into the psychology too, which I find fascinating, how emotions, specifically fear and desire, can keep us stuck. That fear of being broke, it makes you cling to that safe job even if you hate it.
Yeah.
And that desire for, nicer things, it makes you spend any extra money you get, so you never really get ahead.
It's so true. He really stresses learning to manage those emotions, making financial decisions based on logic, not impulse or fear. I mean, think about it. How often do we buy something we don't really need because of that desire? or stay stuck out of fear. It's really about financial self-mastery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Controlling those instincts.
So, okay, putting it all together, what does this mean for actually building wealth? It seems to come down to entrepreneurship and investing, right?
Hmm.
Kiyosaki points out that wealthy people understand how things like tax laws work. They build businesses, they leverage systems. They're not just earning, they're creating and owning.
Right. And for you listening, it encourages you to think about maybe starting small, but thinking bigger. How can you build multiple streams of income? It's really about taking control of your own financial path, not just being dependent on an employer, creating your own economic engine, so to speak.
I love that analogy he uses. Build your own ladder instead of climbing someone else's. Really powerful. Okay, so let's try and distill this. Key takeaways for you from this deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad. First, don't just rely on a job. Explore other ways to generate income. Second, start building that financial literacy like right now. It's never too late. Third, focus on buying assets, things that make you money, not liabilities that cost you money. Fourth, keep learning, especially about money. It's a continuous process. Fifth, get a handle on fear and greed in your financial decisions. Make conscious choices. And finally, if you have kids, teach them this stuff early. Give them that advantage.
And to just wrap that core idea up again, Kiyosaki's main point. The rich focus on acquiring assets, the poor focus on income. That's a fundamental difference in thinking.
So as we finish up here, maybe just take a moment to consider what shifting your financial mindset could really mean. Seeing opportunities maybe where you didn't before.
Yeah, and maybe a final thought to chew on. If the goal is really to have money working for you, what small habits or maybe just ways of thinking are you holding on to right now that might actually be liabilities in disguise? What might be stopping you from building your own financial ladder?